up, everyone? Hope we're all doing well. Now, in case you don't know, Ilia Topuria's older brother, Aleksandre Topuria, will be making his UFC debut at UFC 312, and I am very, very interested and excited to see how he performs on his debut. And I think it's easy to get excited for his debut, considering that UFC 312, other than the co-main and main event, is quite stinky, so hopefully Aleksandre Topuria is a saving grace on that card. Now, for those who aren't aware, Aleksandre Topuria will be competing in the 135 division, the bantamweight division, which I'm very happy about because the bantamweight division is my favorite weight division. It has been for a long time, and it's always just stacked when it comes to talent, so hopefully he can add to that weight division being even more stacked, and he'll be taking on another prospect in Cody Haddon, who's 8-1 and only 26 years old. But before we start going into how Aleksandre Topuria fights, what his style is like, and whether he can actually become a great like his younger brother Ilia Topuria, let's look at his record, because I've seen a lot of people on Twitter and social media in general slating his record for a certain reason, so let's go through it. So as you can see, Aleksandre Topuria has a 5-1 record. He's only 29 years old, and not only that, all of his wins come by finish, so he's got 3 knockouts and 2 submission victories, which is a great little start to your career. But obviously what people like to focus on is that 1 on his record, usually because you don't really, well, actually no, you do, but maybe because it's Ilia Topuria's brother, a lot of people are focusing on that 1 loss that he has. Now, I'm going to provide some context for that loss, because I do believe that context really does matter for that loss. So if we go down, we'll see that he lost to Ivo Ivanov, who was making his MMA debut back in 2015. So Aleksandre Topuria, currently 29, he would have been what, 20, maybe 19, you know, very young. And you can see that if you watch the fight. You can find the fight on YouTube. I'll probably put the link in my description, not my bio, in the description, and you'll be able to watch the fight, and you can see a clear difference in weight. Aleksandre Topuria looks like a young boy, and then you have fucking Ivo, who looks like he's just come out of fucking, I don't know, it's something like a created AI character from Saints Row or some shit, juiced to the gills, massive. He looks so much bigger than Aleksandre Topuria, and in that first round, Aleksandre Topuria was having his way with the grappling and kept on taking down Ivo, and you even see Ivo trying his best, and it's so deliberate. He grabs the fence like 4 or 5 times and gets told off for it once, but he deliberately grabs the cage to try and prevent him getting taken down, and he still gets taken down, but he's really, really bad for it. In that second round, Aleksandre Topuria tries the same again, but this time Ivo starts stuffing his takedowns, and then I think Aleksandre Topuria ends up just getting like gassed out, and Ivo just like lands some okay shots, and that's pretty much it. Gets a ground and pound finish. It's nothing crazy, it's quite a weak finish, but people like to put a lot of emphasis on this for whatever reason. And also looking at people's records who he's came up against, so you got 0-3 in his MMA debut, you got a 1-1, 0-0, 7-18, 1-9, 3-1, 8 and then up and coming 8-1. I don't think it's that bad. He's starting off his MMA career. He's not going to be fighting everyone with positive records. It's like how boxing, you have journeymen. MMA will have journeymen, and we still already do. But the difference is, I mean, a 7-18 record, you're pretty much a journeyman, let's be honest. But in boxing, it's been around for so long that journeymen have become well established. And MMA, it's still quite a young sport, so it's not really become as established. But who are you expecting? A new person to MMA who's young to be facing? He's not going to be fighting elite opposition. We saw Khabib stat pad his first 16 fights. Aleksandre Topuria's had 6 fights and is now going to the UFC and fighting someone who's a prospect with an 8-1 record. So you'll see a lot of discourse about Aleksandre Topuria's record and whatnot. Don't read into it too much. Now, if you're wondering what Aleksandre Topuria's style is like, it's pretty much a B-Tech version of Ilia Topuria. It's literally copy and paste, Control C and then Control V. That's literally how his style is. It's the exact same as Ilia Topuria. You can see it in his fights against Alberto Ibanez, where he gets the finish in the first round. In all fairness, that Ibanez looked very shit, but regardless, he shows off a few jabs, mixing jabs to the body, and then comes over with looping right hands, and he actually threw like a head kick, even a spin kick to the head as well, which is something we've never really seen from Ilia. I think there's actually a stat out there that Ilia Topuria has never thrown a head kick or anything like that, so yeah, he actually maybe does mix it up a bit, add a bit of spice to it, a bit of seasoning, throws in a few kicks, but he gets to finish in the first round. And then after this, he picked up another win, which is his last win against Johan Segas, where Johan Segas was trying to chop the legs off of Aleksandre, and he was, you know, landing a lot of inside leg kicks. And then Aleksandre Topuria was just constantly pressuring him, got him down, got him in a crucifix position, and was just raining down elbows like there was no tomorrow. And then every time Johan Segas was trying to get out, Aleksandre Topuria would just threat a Kimura, and he just kind of like, oh, fuck that then, I don't want my arm snapped. And then just kept on getting fucking elbowed into oblivion. So he got the first round finish as well, back-to-back first round finishes. And if you're wondering what his style is, it's pretty much Ilia Topuria, but I need to see a bit more of him. But going off his last few fights, that's pretty much what it is. It isn't too much film on Aleksandre Topuria, given that he's only had a few fights, not too many fights. Now, this leads to the question, can Aleksandre Topuria be as great as his younger brother, Ilia Topuria? By the way, there's a 1 year difference between the two. Ilia Topuria just turned 28, and obviously Aleksandre Topuria 29 years old. But can he live up to his younger brother's, you know, expectations? Well, he's kind of setting him. Whenever you see a more successful brother, you're wondering what the other brother's doing. You have Kamaru Usman and his brother Muhammad Usman. You have the Anthony Pettis and Sergio Pettis. You know, Nate Diaz. There's plenty of brother combinations in MMA who've been successful. So can he be as great? I think it's so early to tell, obviously. But if he's working with Topuria and just having that camp, I do have confidence that he can be quite great. Now, it is a hard division that he's in, but could you imagine the scenes if you have Aleksandre Topuria running the bantamweight division and Ilia Topuria running the featherweight division? I'm not sure if we've seen that before, where two brothers are running the divisions side by side, which would be crazy. I don't think we've seen it where two brothers are champions in general, so this will be a crazy thing to see. It would be very cool to see it as well. And I do believe that Aleksandre Topuria has fought in the featherweight division before, and we know that Ilia wants to move up to 155, so how even crazier would it be if then Aleksandre Topuria maybe won at 130, the title at 135, moved up to featherweight, won the title there, and Ilia Topuria was obviously the featherweight champion, moves on up to the lightweight division and wins the title there. It would be crazy and a very unique situation. But the UFC debut of Aleksandre Topuria has been talked about for a long time now, since like what, the start of last year. I was hearing rumblings about him making his UFC debut, and now the time is finally coming here, only a few weeks away now. I think only a week away, so not far away at all. I'm just hoping the fight doesn't fall through for whatever reason. I know that a lot of Spanish people, whenever I've seen comments about Aleksandre Topuria, are really high on this guy, so I've got high expectations. I hope he's able to deliver, because I'm a big fan of Ilia Topuria, so I'm hoping that Aleksandre Topuria can also deliver and be an entertaining fights and have a lot of success as well. But that's it from me, guys. That's all I've got to talk about Aleksandre Topuria. Are you guys excited to see how Aleksandre Topuria can get on the UFC? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one.